Dig deeper into the story, explore the constellations, and read the complete transcripts at whatthepigpromised.com. There will be a short scene after the closing credits.
Please, don't take John. John! Gods, where am I?
Sara!
Sara? Why are you following me?
Following you?
Who are you?
Well, you see, that's the thing. I don't really know. Oh, dear. Sara?
What?
Gratch John.
Oh, my gods. John. No, please,
Oh.
John.
Is that a baby Minotaur?
The Minotaur's calf? Oh, no. Please, gods, no. John! Wake up! Please!
Is the baby all right?
John! John, the baby. John, look at me. Look at me. John, look at me.
Baby, touch. The baby is hurt.
No. The baby's okay.
Sara, whose blood is on the hoe?
Gods, John, look at me. There's blood on the hoe, John.
The baby's
No,
blood.
John. No, the baby is okay.
Baby's blood.
Sara, dear gods. You think he killed something?
No.
John.
No. Baby's blood.
Okay. It's okay. It will be okay. Look at me. Look at me. It will be okay.
Tango One! Tango One? Who's Tango One? What the Pig Promised. A tale of skies as empty as promises. Episode 7. Dynamic Equilibrium. I am Tango One. Dear listener, fear not. When the constant is identified, variables align and the system engages. Author unknown. Chapter 25. Balance through chaos. A record of Gratch Hollow's final moments. So far. As recounted by Sara. You know, I had never used those stones before today. All the calculations, all the theory, and it looked like my variables were working. A small victory. I'd take what I could get. And all this without my morning coffee. Marine would say I was tempting fate. Oh, Marine. I shouted for everyone to get ready to run. But the screaming human child in the Minotaur's arms and the chaos from outside were, I'm going to go with unhelpful at best. Tephra still held the door with precision, grace, and Goreborn brains stuck in her hair. The child's hands were locked tight around the black collar, the same as the stranger's, with a purple glass pulsing at its center. It was familiar, but I had no memory of it. And that would have creeped me out if I had time to be creeped out. The smoke was filling the room from the top down. Oh, and John, behind me. John let out a deep squeal, frightened, mournful. But I couldn't look away from the slate. A few extra seconds, that's all I needed. If I was wrong, it could spread someone across time and split their motion into overlapping frames that would snap back together, but out of sync. That's how I described it in my notes, but what that means is that it would mangle them and kill them, and it would hurt. Fire was definitely getting closer, and the smoke was stinging my eyes. Outside were the two cults, but one was winning. Noctul remains, they kept chanting, even as their lungs were giving up. The boy's screams cut down my spine, but the smoke was starting to wear on his voice too. All of a sudden, there was a crash of heavy grunts and weapons. Something big violated Tephra's defense. I told myself Tephra had it, but there was no time to decide if I believed that. I didn't have time. I had to get this equation balanced. I had the slate on my knees and Tefra's colorful recursion stones scattered in a pattern I'd calculated. Pip nudged one out of alignment, and he looked up at me. And he was right. Again. Pip. Steel rang out louder than the boy. Then a horrifying squeal, and the sickening thud crack of a body breaking. A weapon hit the ground before the body did. John? I couldn't bring my focus to check on him. That felt like betrayal. I almost threw up. And then, out of nowhere, someone wrenched my head back by the hair. Chapter 26. The Final Time I Died. An account of Gratch Hollow's final destruction. So far. Tefra was gone. Gorborn soldiers and Tuscari shoved too hard at the entrance, clogging it and slowing themselves. Noctul remains, they chanted. With all the coughing and choking, none of them actually finished the full phrase, but they were determined. Smoke was filling the hut. The temperature was tropical. The first one broke through. He sized up John with a cruel, amused grunt. Something like a laugh. Then closed the gap and took a violent swing. He was no Tefra, but he made up for it with raw power. I reached him in time to block the blow, losing a finger in the process. I barely noticed. Violent deaths in bulk tend to dull the senses. I deflected the second swing. The axe missed John's head, but cleaved into the base of his neck, down through most of his ribs in a sickening series of snaps. I don't believe I've ever seen a pig smile before. This one was coughing and squealing with delight at what he had done, until I took the smile right off, and his head along with it. And then, from the shadows and smoke, the Minotaur emerged. She was pregnant. The human boy was clutched tight against her chest, screaming as loud as his lungs would allow. She had her blade ready and was moving fast, straight towards Sara. I choked out a warning. Too late. Her blade cut cleanly through Tansy, mid-leap, then continued into the skull of a man holding Sara by the hair. He had come out of nowhere, and Sara's throat was already open before she knew what was happening. I held the Tuscari back as long as I could, using everything I learned fighting Tefra thousands of times. But the smoke was thickening, and apparently my tolerance had too. I lasted longer than they did. One by one, oxygen-starved, they stumbled, and I ended them. I dropped low to breathe and look around. Sara lay on the floor with her back to me, as if she had been sitting, then toppled sideways. And Pip, nearly motionless between Sara's body and what remains of Tansy's front half. He finally rubbed himself against Sara's hair and face, then curled up beside her in the blood. The boy stood near the Minotaur now, her back against the stone wall. He was still crying as loudly as he could manage. She was alive, in pain, sobbing. John, Gratch John, lay broken on the ground, a pure soul if ever I had seen one. If I lived through this, I swore I would become more like him. I still don't remember who I was, but he showed me who I wanted to be. The fire outside was getting closer. The Minotaur's labor had begun. She pulled the boy close and muzzled a kiss on his forehead. "I'm sorry, Keller," she said. She took his head in her hands, pinched his nose, and covered his mouth. It did not take long. I think she wanted one peaceful moment with her child before the end. The calf was born. She lifted it, blood and afterbirth and all, and held it to her chest for its first and final meal. The stone walls of the hut began to radiate heat, but before it became unbearable, the Minotaur and her calf succumbed to the smoke. I closed my eyes and did the same. And that was the final time I died. So far. My head snapped backwards. At the same time, Pip hollered. It startled me, even through the chaos. Then he tapped the purple stone, just barely. A blade about to cut my throat froze, just as it touched skin. The sound in the hut collapsed. It pulled inward and sort of forced back together unpredictably. But, predictably, the boy's screaming didn't stop because, of course it didn't. At the doorway, motion kind of sloshed. Gorborn slowed as they headed toward us. Debris and sparks stretched into long lines as they tried to catch up with themselves. My scalp hurt where the man had yanked my head back. His knife vibrated against my throat, snapping away, then back to a hard limit, just touching my skin. Tansy was frozen mid-air, mid-pounce on my attacker. Her hind paws were hovering just above my eyebrows, stuck in that same snapping edge as the knife. I couldn't see Moth. The Minotaur moved away from the shadows in my direction. She was quick and clutching the boy tight. Her blade was drawn. And Pip! One paw pressed against the purple stone, flicking against the same limit, in sync with the blade at my throat and the cat above my head. I knew the configuration Pip had set. I'd drawn it 100 times, and I'd rejected it each time. It was a local time dilation. It was a bubble around the stone and the person carrying it, where time ran close to normal, real time. There was an outer bubble. At the edge on the inside, relative time ran slow, almost frozen. Then from there to the outer edge, it crept back toward real time, but only about halfway. And right at that edge, everything was back to real time. Relatively. Oh, but it was unstable. Too dangerous. Still, it was a chance we weren't expecting, so I went with it. What else could I do? But if unexpected variables compounded, in theory, everything could shift. Apparently, I was about to test that theory, the hard way. "This will not hold," I shouted. The stranger looked at me weirdly calm. One hand clamped around the stump of his finger. Blood hung in suspended beads around him. He was only now noticing the oddities. Gods, it took him long enough. John pitched beside him, snapping back again and again. "Sara, look out!" the stranger shouted. I don't know how he knew my name. A massive shape filled my vision. The Minotaur's knee slammed into my forehead. I was expecting it to hurt. The blade flashed once, a clean, deadly arc, and my hair fell free. Behind me, the assassin remained motionless, hair still locked in his fist. I took in the Minotaur at once, towering, focused, frightened, pregnant. She pushed past the doorway, clutching the child tight, blade steady. Gorborn hung around her like ugly decorations in unfinished motion. I reached for Pip, tried to slide the stone from beneath his paw. His paw wouldn't give. The stone did. I eased it free, inch by inch, not a hair of his fur moving with it. Then the stuttering stopped. John froze. The blood beads held. Everything caught in the distortion locked at once. I heard the Minotaur's breath catch. Pain crossed her face. She staggered, bracing against the wall. Gods, she was in labor. Chapter 27. The Legend of Thorgil Rune the Peaceful. From the Constellation Archive of Divergence History. Kept in the Missars Dole Cavern Libraries beneath Brayleth University of Mathemagics and Technomancy. Read by archivist Father Thed Crelay.
We have no stars in our sky. And such begins the most important surviving text of the ancient pre-divergence era. In the introduction to the Stitched Sky, an assembly of celestial testimonies, as recorded by Ilra Wint, village chronicler and seamstress, and my crush across the centuries. She claims for herself the title, A Woman with Ink and a Thread. I have given her others, Mistress of the Double Entendre, Curator of Contradiction, Seamstress and Cartographer of Second-Hand Skies. What I wouldn't give for the chance to be rejected by her in person. Oh, were time travel possible. Ilra tells us that Gratch Hollow, which stood where Braylith stands today, had no stars in its sky, the same as Braylith now. She continues, I've spent the better part of 2 decades collecting their accounts. Wanderers and traders, bards and priests, even the quiet ones who vanish before morning. They speak of lights in the night sky. Some whisper names, others draw what they remember, and no 2 sketches are the same, yet close enough that I believe them, and always there are stories. Among these testimonies is the legend of Thorgal Rune the Peaceful, preserved in substantially the same words later recorded in the Book of Rune, and still spoken within our Runian Minotaur community. Some of Ilra's travelers claim that in the stars of other lands, Thorgal Rune watches Valmur with his red eye, standing vigil to ensure Valmur does not forfeit his chance at atonement and at last reclaim his peace long lost. They further claim that Rune's horns point toward Umbrelith and his shadow, guarding the world against poisoned truths and patient lies. And in some tellings, he is named as the fulfiller of the uncompleted hope of the unnamed shaman of Morath. This is how it is recorded. The legend of Thorgal Rune the Peaceful. From within their own mazes, a great hatred arose. The Minotaur clans claimed unity, but when truth was unknowingly corrupted by a whisper from without, lies became their new truths. They struck at each other with tainted hearts. Families were cleaved by the fears these lies invoked. Fear begat fury, and fury begat hate. Unity died. Noble warriors who once stood together turned their blades in betrayal, each with unwavering commitment to their own new truths. The mazes were set ablaze, turning homes into graves. Entire bloodlines were erased. When the enemy came, the Minotaurs were already broken. The foe bound them in both flesh and mind, and again feeding them the truths that had torn their people apart. Only then did they wake, knowing now that they had been defeated long before the enemy was even known. Poisoned by hatred for each other, their lands taken without a fight. The Minotaurs, few in number and weak in body, rose. Outnumbered, they fought with the fury of gods. They won the war, but were scattered like ashes. Their victory was no victory at all. And in the silence that followed, Thorgal Rune the Peaceful walked the broken land, carrying the burden of impossibility. Against all odds, he gathered every soul that bore horns, regardless of bloodline or allegiance. One by one they followed. Forged from too many lineages to count, a new people arose. Though many later scattered to the corners of the world, they claimed the same home and swore to end disputes without blood. Across generations, through failures and triumphs, they cultivated peace and Runian unity as a way of life.
We had to get back to the chapel and the moment field. I knew that was where we would exit the hollow, but honestly, I still don't know how I knew that. John was on the floor, frozen in place. I moved away to take in the room, and he started to slowly roll to one side. I thought I could help him now, so I stepped closer, and he just rolled back. I moved in closer. When he was inside the bubble, he picked up exactly where he left off. Garden hoe in the air, eyes closed, squealing in panic. He rolled in one direction like he was trying to get away. And then he saw me. Horror, confusion, betrayal. Any of those, or all of them at once. He had been under attack. Then he was on the ground. And suddenly, I was standing over him. I told him we were going to go, and I took his hand to keep him close. He took it, but for a second he pulled back, like there was the faintest chance I might hurt him. I couldn't pull Tansy out of the air any more than I could move a mountain. She and Pip were solid, unmoving. The assassin with my frozen hair in his fist was the same. The Minotaur and child moved like normal. The purple glass gem in their shared collar glowed in sync with the strangers. We headed for the door. Outside, cultists were kneeling in the ash. They smiled as they choked on the thick smoke, chanting, "Not.Who remains," between gasps. The ones nearest us were solid, almost unmoving. Farther back, they moved slowly. There were Goreborn everywhere, some frightened and trying to run. Tuscari slaughtering the ones who ran. Nearer to us, some Goreborn were ripping a human body apart in slow motion. Hands pulling slowly, teeth bared. A limb parted from a shoulder, so slowly you could watch the skin tear. And there was something else hurtling toward us. Its motion was stretched forward, drawn out in one direction, almost like a cone pressed through the air. Its wide end aimed straight at me. I let go of John's hand, and I took a step back. He stopped mid-motion. This was not for him to see. I knew what was coming, but I couldn't look away. It was ahead, thrown hard enough that the front had already reached its limit, while the rest was still arriving. Hair trailing in rotation, features pulled long. The distance between where it had been and where it was going stretched thin, like it was being dragged through thick glass. As it rotated slowly, the face came into view, and I met with Sister Tefra's eyes. I swear, it was the same look she would give me when I succeeded in something that once felt impossible. That was impossible. I vomited, and I fell down hard in the ash, and my knees just buckled. Sister Tefra. I didn't have time for this. I got myself up and brought John back to the bubble. He picked right up mid-cough and kept going. The Minotaur broke off on her own when she saw what looked like a safe way through. She was stumbling and choking, but she moved fast. The stranger was with me, moving cleanly, untouched by the drag. He motioned for me to follow him. But just then, my tongue pressed hard against the roof of my mouth, as if I were holding something there, like a stone, which obviously I wasn't. "No. This way," I said, pointing east. East was absolutely the right way to go. I just didn't understand why I knew.
Chapter 28, Moth's Flight. A live account of a moth to the flames.
Pipperoman roared, "Go! Tanzarath attacking man. Not in the plan. Smell new blood from two-legged bovine. Calf is coming soon. I hear it moving. Whiskers along the wall. Stay in the shadow. There, Sara's stone, the one that's not glowing. Got it. Hang on to it, Moth. Broke a fang on stone. Do not cry out. Blood in my mouth. Swallow it. Keep scent from Big John's. Tastes so strong. Can't smell the dark corners. Doorway is darker now. Good cover. Feet, hooves. Tricky to wind around. So much motion. Big John's ahead are moving fast like flies. Tougher to catch. Big John's here are normal. Next one fast. Then faster. Further. A blur. Swords on the ground. Sharp. Jump. Don't swallow the stone with the blood, Mothera. Tefra's staff split. Severed limbs. Guts. Blood. Brains. Delicious. I'm hungry now. No, I'm sick. Going to cough it up. Big John's moving so very fast. Everything snaps. Big John's keep up. Behind me, Big John's are very slow now. Piploman did it. Climbing tree. Clamp teeth onto the stone. Don't drop it. So sick. Swallowed too much blood. Still more blood. Still more blood. Safe branch. Now is not the time. Like my tail coming through my mouth. Worse. Big pain moves up to my throat. So much blood. Broken fang in the hairball. Stop. Gain strength. Let new blood fall here. Smoke will hide it. I can smell now. So much smoke up here. Human Big Johns. Their waste, blood, singed hair and fur mix with burning. So much burned. Human, livestock, crops smell on fast paths for Sara. Glowing smoke from fire. Loud fire. Screams. New noise. Flame focused, controlled. Someone is burning our home on purpose. Sara cannot go the fast ways. They are blocked. Hard to breathe. Smoke here. More smoke. Feeling weak. Sara could go around the tower. Like the dog I chased to the lake. Maybe under the stone mill. Lots of mice. And straight run to the chapel. I can't see through smoke. Need to go there. No good scent. Pick up the stone. Don't drop. Hurts so much on broken fang wound. Fire is hot. Dug under logs, over boulders, around bodies. My tail hurts. Tired, hard to move. So much blood. Keep running, Mothera. I see the chapel. Only stone walls, no roof, no houses. The grassy moment field singed, but not burning. So tired. No trees to climb. Go back to guide Sara. Duck under the mill. Big person or Big John. Black and shiny. Purple glow on its head. Throwing fire from a tube. The loud, upset human cub and the stranger with the black blade have the same purple glow. So much blood from mouth. Can't swallow. On the ground. Puddle. Stone in mouth. Out from teeth. Press tongue to stone. To top of mouth. Stone hums. Falling asleep. Sara, this way. Sound of lion and panther. Brother and sister keep Sara safe. Stone stripping from mouth. Fur singed. Tail burnt. Sara, this way. Can't fight it. Sleep pulling. Head in blood. Sara, this way.
The roads, what was left of them, were layered thick with fine ash up over our ankles, and it was hard to avoid tripping over things that were buried. Gods, so much had been incinerated. I could watch the smoke fill the hollow's cylindrical walls from the top down. The timing around me, the bubble, started to falter, and I could see it in the way ash drifted, and how smoke folded and hesitated as we ran. Ahead was the stone mill. From there I knew we would have a clear shot to the chapel. Then the stranger cried out in surprise and clutched at his collar, which began pulsing violently. At that exact time, I heard the boy, somewhere in the distance, cry out. Once, then twice, much weaker, and then nothing. Through the smoke, a purple glow turned in our direction, pulsing in perfect sync with the stranger's collar. With it came a solid orange glow, fuzzy through the smoke. It took the shape of a long, deliberate arc. A stone's throw away now was a figure in a black suit, something like armor. It was the same flat black as the walls of the hollow, the tower, the stranger's sword, and the collars themselves. He turned and vanished back into the smoke, blasting everything with a liquid metallic stream of fire. I could hear the same sound from other places in the distance. Smoke thickened around our faces. We reached the stone mill and, of course, walked straight into Gorborn, to Skari soldiers and humans who were attempting to shelter there. Swillborn robes, Swillborn sigils. No one moved. Just then, the dilation stopped, with a single distortion pulsing outward like a spherical wave. And then everything returned to real time. Normal, except that some of the Swillborn were instantly mangled in place. Clothing and armor tore through bone and flesh. It was terrible. One human, I think, was nearly inside out. A Gorborn stood pinned, weapon fused to his shoulder and out where the tail should have been. For half a breath, everyone paused, confused, stunned, frightened. It was like we all agreed to inhale together. The stranger moved first, and fast. His black blade swung once, precise and final, separating the two closest to Skari from their head before the rest understood what was happening. I was actually impressed. The rest froze. The stranger scanned us once, confirmed we were intact, and told us to run. John stood still, in shock. He was staring at the tattooed skin and silver-tipped tusks of the warriors. He was absent-mindedly fingering his own tiny tusk nubs. I grabbed his hand and ran, struggling to take a breath. Somewhere nearby was a pained, mournful wail. The Minotaur. I had almost reached the outer edge of the moment field, struggling for breath, when John let go of my hand. I turned. I couldn't see the Minotaur or the stranger, but John was running toward the fire, garden hoe clutched tight, choking, coughing, and squealing. Somehow still standing. John, I wasn't ready for this. Then, through the smoke, the Minotaur surged forward, forcing herself upright after a stumble, choking out the most mournful sounds. Her belly had changed shape. Her legs were covered in a thickened mix of ash and dark blood. The human child was still clutched tight in her arm, limp, asleep or unconscious, God's willing. Vomit and ash soaked both of their clothing and were matted together in their hair. A huge Tuscari was chasing close behind, stumbling but determined. "Not.Who remains," he repeated between coughs and wheezing. The Minotaur. Her eyes. Fear. Sorrow. Something worse than either. Tears cut paths of mud down her face through the ash. As she stumbled onto the edge of the field, she met my eyes, nodded once and said, broken and urgent, "Sara, find me in Braylith." I didn't know what Braylith was, or how she knew my name, but I was certain I would find out soon enough. I turned to look for John. The Tuscari had collapsed. John was still running back into the thick smoke, tail straight as a line. I tried to shout after him, but was only able to manage a weak cough. From somewhere else, closer to the flames, and far from John, the smoke split open, and two big cats burst through the fire. One was a lion. Ash decorated his great mane like snow. He carried the stranger, barely moving by his clothing, clenched in his jaw. The other was a panther, ashes stark against its pure black fur. It held little Moth by the scruff like a kitten, carefully in its teeth. Moth was limp. "John," I managed to shout weakly. "What are you doing? Come back." Another Gorborn burst from the smoke, barbed chains swinging, zeroing in on John. I started to run to him without thinking, and then something soft struck me sideways. A gray paw, like a cat's, but much larger. I remember thinking that I had to be hallucinating, that I was dying. Darkness slipped in quickly. And then, soaring toward John, a winged shape crossed my view. "Don't take John, too," I whispered to the shape. "Please don't take John." And then I was gone. And this is my last memory of Gratch Hollow. So far.
Tango One!
Tango One? I'm Tango One. Oh my. I've seen this before. Your uniform. It's fused to you. It's inside of you. Shut up.
Don't talk. Listen. I am Keller Voss.
Keller Voss.
I burned Gratch Hollow.
You burned Gratch.
It was me. My plan. My team. Find me. I'm here. Undercover. As a slave. Much younger.
Tell him. Tell me Project 451 will fail. He won't understand you. Take this watch. Bring it to him. He'll know you're true. I'll know. Listen. This memory is new. You can fix this. Don't let it burn.
In the opening sequence, Sara is voiced by Hannah Burnett. not.Com. Moth is voiced by Shelley Fear. voiceoverslayer.com. What the Pig Promised is written, produced, and performed by Sean Fitzmaurice. Voiceover Nerd Productions. voiceovernerd.com. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved.
Test. It works. I think it works. That's exciting. Okay. This is El Rowent recording on a wax cylinder of my invention. Prophecy or madness. I do not know whether these words should ever be heard. Perhaps they belong hidden until long after I have spiraled away. Do the people of Gratch Hollow need to prepare for what might happen? Or might it cause undue panic for what might never happen? I would like to say it is not for me to decide, but I fear it might be. This is my first voice-recorded chronicle using my own invention, which was supposed to be a machine to help me sew as my hands grow old. The man with me in the tavern has asked that I not say his name for reasons his eyes reflect as fear.
I'm not afraid.
Oh, but you are. And that is why this story needs to be told. He claims no measure of time. If true, it could be tomorrow or 100 years hence. Yet he speaks as if this history were already written. His words unsettle me. I will record them and write them down so I do not forget. This is a beautiful machine. It sits in I think it will sit in a museum someday as a first of its kind. And you, Ilra, are as lovely as your words. Right. Oh, God. History tells us, prophecy tells us that the villagers of Gratch Hollow gathered for an event they called the Moment, as they did every 3 days, 4 hours, 42 minutes, and 3 seconds, to be precise. The rituals were always the same. The mysterious figures flickered in, paused for a moment of life, and flickered away. The people welcomed them, overwhelmingly believing that they were the souls of the dying passing through on their way to whatever comes next. It was the best possible belief to hold in the face of a brutal truth. No, that, for the record, is hyperbole. Of course it is. Then, at the field's heart, rather than the souls of the dying, a podium of sorts appeared. Tall as a man and a half, cylindrical, crowned with a polished dome. It shared the same character as the black cylindrical wall surrounding the hollow, and the tower that runs from ground to sky. Through the assembly strode a man in a sharp black outfit, carrying a black, blunt, square-tipped sword. It was the same flat black as a crown-shaped ring he pulled from his pouch, a violet object like a gem at its center, prongs like a simple crest. He set it over the dome. Sparks leapt, and the gem began to pulse with steady violet light. He raised the sword towards the central tower. It was inset with letters in white, VLMYR, Velmyr. A bolt of purple split the sky and blade, then settled into rhythm with the caller's pulse. He drove the sword into a waiting slot, and the violet light coiled inward and was gone. In an instant, half of the villagers vanished. The man stepped back, proud, a smug triumph. A gasp rose from those who remained, rising and bursting like a bubble of gas in a lake as their eyes and minds caught up to one another. But they never had time to question or mourn. Another land pressed into the hollow. City, mountains, countryside, small as a scaled model. Yet where the worlds touched, both crumbled, and waves of violent implosions and eruptions spread throughout the space. There were pockets of nothing and pockets of combined structure, and any flame seemed to flicker out as if met by its opposite, as the destruction spread virally, consuming all it touched, then dying when nothing remained to sustain it. From the mist, a vast shadow rose. Some believed it to be the nameless Empress. Her voice, broken and booming, spoke. Sounds of destruction drowned it, save one fragment. not.Who remains.
Thank you, Father Fed. If this is a warning, I cannot say when it will come. If it was madness, may it die with us. Ilro went, Gratch Hollow.